You probably think the railroad just needed strong backs. That is the comfortable answer, and it's wrong. The steel did not care how strong a man was. It cared whether he could be trusted with other men's lives. To the minute, in the dark, half asleep, scared, every single day. The 1950s railroad did not hire a man. It built one, and it built him out of a code almost no man lives by now. Here is the simple idea behind this whole list. The railroad ran on a code nobody wrote on the wall, and a man earned his place by bending himself to it. It did not make him strong by accident. It made him reliable, and reliability is what manhood actually is. Every rule on this list looks like a railroad rule, but underneath, each one is really a rule about how to be a man you can trust. None of it was soft. None of it was about feelings. It was a standard a man answered to, day after day, until it shaped him into something solid. 25 rules, counted down. The biggest one is last, because number 1 is the rule underneath all the others, and it is the one the modern world threw away and called it freedom. Number 25. He carried a watch the railroad trusted with lives. After a wreck at Kipton, Ohio in 1891, caused by an engineer's watch that ran 4 minutes slow, the railroad stopped leaving time to chance. They demanded certified watches, 21 joules, accurate to within 30 seconds a week, inspected and signed off on a schedule. So he wound his every morning and ran his whole life by it, because on the advertised meant the train hit every mark to the minute, not the hour, and a man who was late was a man who could not be trusted. A man who keeps time keeps his word. Being on time is the first thing you tell the world before you say a single word. To him, late was a lie. Number 24. He looked the part before he said a word. The conductor's dark uniform was pressed. The brass buttons shined. The cap squared. The boots wiped down, even at the end of a filthy double shift. He did not dress up to impress anyone. He dressed like a man who took his job, and himself, seriously, because the public read his appearance as a promise that the train was in steady hands. A man tells you who he is by how he carries himself, long before he ever opens his mouth. Sloppy on the outside says careless on the inside, and people believe it. He stayed squared away. Number 23. He knew the rule book cold. Railroad men had a grim saying about that book. Every rule in it was written in blood, paid for by some man who learned the hard way. So he studied it, carried it, and lived by it, because not knowing was not an excuse the steel would accept. A man owes it to the people who depend on him to be good at the thing he does. Competence is not bragging. It is a duty. He earned his place by knowing his work better than he knew his fear. Nobody bled for them twice. Number 22. He started at the bottom and earned every step up. Nobody walked onto the railroad and ran the engine. He began wiping down locomotives or swinging a lantern as a junior brakeman, and he earned his seniority 1 year at a time. Psychologists who study success now find the trait that predicts how far a man goes is not raw talent, but conscientiousness. The patient, reliable showing up day after day. He never read the study. He just lived it. Today, we want the title before the work. He wanted the work first. He earned every rung. Quick word before we go on. If these first few rules have landed, hit that subscribe button, because this list is about to change what you think made those men so hard to break. And number 1 ties all of it together. Number 21. He gave his word with a lantern. Out in the dark yard, the swing of his lamp was a whole language. Raised and lowered slow meant come ahead. Swung wide across the rail meant stop. Swung in a big circle meant back up. A crew moved tons of steel on the strength of that one motion. His hand was his word, and his word moved mountains of iron. When a man's signal can get someone killed, he does not give it carelessly. He means exactly what he says, every time. That is what a promise used to weigh. A careless word cost a life. Number 20. He kept Rule G. Rule G was the railroad's ban on drinking on the job, and the men enforced it harder than any boss did, because a drunk man in the yard was a loaded gun pointed at his brothers. So he stayed sharp on his shift, no matter what waited at home or in the bottle. A man holds himself to a standard even when nobody is checking, especially then. Self-control is not weakness. It is what makes you safe to stand next to. He stayed sharp for his brothers. Number 19. He stood his watch in any weather. Blizzard, heat, 3 in the morning, it made no difference. The trains ran, so he was there. The weather did not get a vote, and neither did how he felt. Showing up when it was miserable was the whole job, and he did it for 30 years. A man is measured not by what he does when it is easy, but by whether he shows up when everything in him wants to stay home. The railroad ran in the storm. He showed up anyway. Number 18. He did the dangerous work without a word. Coupling cars, riding the tops, throwing switches in the dark. The yard could take a hand or a life from a man who got careless, and railroading stayed one of the deadliest trades in the country. He did the frightening parts anyway, calmly, as just another piece of the job. A man does the hard, dangerous work that has to be done, and he does not make a show of it. He did the dangerous part because it was his to do. He kept his mouth shut. Everything so far is the work he could be seen doing. The next rules are the ones that lived inside the man. The code he carried where no one was watching. And they are the ones we have lost most completely. Stay with me. Number 17. He never showed fear on the ballast. Out on the gravel beside live track, with steel moving close enough to touch, he kept his face calm and his hands steady, because panic is contagious and panic gets men killed. He felt the fear. He just did not let it lead. Psychologists will tell you courage is not the absence of fear at all. It is feeling it and acting well anyway. He never read that. He just did it. He kept his nerve so the men around him could keep theirs. Someone had to. Number 16. He looked after the new man. The green kid who just hired on did not know which moves would kill him, so the older men taught him, watched him, and pulled him back from the edge, sometimes literally. Nobody got to be useless and safe. You carried the man below you. A real man uses what he knows to protect the ones who do not know it yet. Strength that only guards itself is not strength. He taught the boy the codes. He brought the kid home too. Number 15. He never left a man on the tracks. Whatever the trouble, whatever it cost, you did not abandon a crewman, hurt or stranded or in danger. You got everybody home. The run was not over until every man was accounted for. A man does not save himself and leave the others behind. Loyalty means the people beside you are not optional. He brought everyone home. Number 14. He respected the steel. He never got cocky around the machine, never assumed it would forgive him, because the railroad punished carelessness instantly and without mercy. The veterans were not the bold ones. They were the careful ones who lived long enough to get old. A man stays humble in front of the things that can destroy him. Confidence without respect is just a countdown. He knew exactly how small he was next to a moving train, and that kept him alive. The steel respected no one. Number 13. He took the conductor's word as final. On the train, the conductor ran it, and when he gave an order, you moved, with no debate in the moment. The chain of command was not about ego. It was about a crew acting as one body when seconds counted. A man knows when to lead and when to fall in line. And a good man can do both without his pride getting in the way. Respect for earned authority is not weakness. It is how strong men work together. In the moment, he fell in line. Number 12. He stood with the brotherhood. The railroad men built some of the first great labor unions in the country. The brotherhoods, starting with the locomotive engineers back in 1863. And a man stood with his crew and never sold out the men beside him for himself. His loyalty went to the people who did the work, not just the company that signed the checks. A man belongs to the men he stands shoulder to shoulder with, and that bond is close to sacred. He held the line with his brothers. He never sold out his own. Number 11. He took the night shift and the holidays. The trains ran on Christmas morning and at 2 a.m, so somebody had to be out there, and he raised his hand for it. He gave up the easy hours so the country kept moving and his family kept eating. A man measures himself by what he is willing to give up, not by what he thinks he is owed. Sacrifice is not something done to him. It is something he chooses. He worked the holidays. Number 10. He owned his mistakes and never passed the blame down the line. If he missed a signal or fouled a move, he said so, took it, and fixed it, instead of pinning it on the youngest man who could not fight back. On the railroad, a hidden mistake came back as a dead man. So honesty was survival. A man carries his own failures on his own back. Blaming the weak to save your name is the oldest cowardice there is. He took it on himself. Number 9. He kept his tools and himself ready. His lantern was trimmed, his watch was wound, his boots were laced before the shift, not during it. He showed up prepared so that when the moment came, he was not fumbling for it. A man does the quiet work of being ready long before anyone needs him to perform. Readiness is a habit, built in private, that shows up in public. He stayed ready. Number 8. He spoke in signals, not chatter. Out in the noise of the yard, the talking was done with the whistle. 2 short blasts to answer, 3 short to back up, 1 long for a station coming up. A few clean sounds carried more than any speech, and a man who ran his mouth was a man you slowly stopped trusting. He said what was needed, and no more. A man's words carry more weight when he does not waste them. Talk is cheap, and everyone knows it. The quiet, certain man is the one people actually listen to. Noise never coupled a car. If you only carry 5 of these out of here, carry the last 5 and stay all the way to number 1. Because number 1 is the rule underneath every other rule on this list. And it is the one the modern world threw away and called it freedom. Number 7. He carried his fear quietly for the passengers. Back in the cars, families rode easy, drank their coffee, and watched the country roll by, never knowing about the storm, the bad stretch of track, the close call up front. He kept the danger on his side of the door so they could rest on theirs. A man absorbs the worry so the people in his care do not have to feel it. That is not hiding. That is shelter. He carried it so they did not have to. Number 6. He earned the job with his name. There were no long resumes out there. A man got hired and kept on because his word was good and the other men vouched for him. Your reputation walked into the room before you did, and it either opened the door or closed it. A man guards his good name like the asset it is, because it is the one thing he cannot buy back once it is gone. Character was currency. His name was his hire. Number 5. He remembered the men the railroad took. In the trade's worst years, the railroads killed thousands of their own men annually, and every veteran knew a name, a man crushed in a coupling or lost in a wreck. They did not joke it away or forget it. They carried those men with them, and that memory kept them sharp and kept them humble. A man honors the cost others paid before him and lets it sober him. Forgetting the price is how you pay it again. He remembered the dead. Number 4. He kept the craft and handed it down. Everything he knew, the signals, the codes, the feel of the work, an older man had once given to him, and he paid that debt forward to the next kid coming up. He did not hoard what he knew to make himself look special. A man measures his life partly by what he passes on, by whether the thing he loved outlives him. Knowledge kept secret dies with you. He taught the young ones everything, because a craft is only as alive as the men you hand it to. He gave it all away on purpose. Number 3. He answered to the whistle and the clock, not to his moods. How he felt that morning did not run the railroad. The schedule did. He got up, showed up, and did the work, whether he was tired, sad, angry, or hurting, because the train did not care about his feelings. A man learns to act on his duties instead of his moods, and that is most of what separates a grown man from a grown boy. Feelings come and go. The work remains. Duty over mood, every day. Quick thing before the last one. If this has been worth your time, tap that like button. It helps a small channel like this one reach the next person who needs to hear it. Number 2. He belonged to something bigger than himself. He was not just a guy with a job. He was part of the line, the crew, the run, a chain of men and steel that moved a whole country. Researchers who study what makes men resilient keep finding the same thing. Belonging to something larger than yourself is one of the strongest shields against despair. He never read it. He felt it on the line. Pure self-interest is a small, cold place to live. He belonged to something. And number 1, the railroad did not follow the man. The man followed the railroad. This is the rule underneath every other rule on this list. He did not show up each day and ask what he felt like doing. He bent himself to a code that was bigger, older, and harder than he was. The timetable, the rule book, the brotherhood, the steel, and in bending to it, he was forged into something solid. That is the part almost no man does now. We threw out the codes, the standards, the things we used to answer to, and we called it freedom. But a man with nothing above him to obey does not become free. He becomes weak because nothing is shaping him. He was not strong because he was born hard. He was strong because something stronger than him demanded it. Every single day, until he became a man who could be trusted with anything. Find the thing worth answering to. Then answer to it like your life depends on it. Because the kind of man you become depends on exactly that. These were not just the rules of a job. They were the rules that turned a boy into a man, and we quietly stopped teaching them. Somewhere there is an old railroad man who still sets his watch to the second out of pure habit. And who could tell you more about being a man than 100 modern books? So tell me one thing in the comments. What is the one rule your father or grandfather lived by that you wish more men still followed today? I read every one,